This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Strap yourself in
because we're set up, switched on and ready to go.
Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
Good evening, fellow Fox fans. How the devil are we? It's Friday night. It's 7 o'clock. It's the preview show. This is Leicester Till I Die TV, and you can watch us live now on YouTube on Leicester Till I Die TV. And please remember to give that subscribe button a link. Help us get to 500 before the end of the season. We would be very, very grateful. Facebook at Leicester TID. No, that's Twitter. You see, I've missed a week and I don't know what I'm talking about. You could say I never knew before anyway. On Twitter, it's at Leicester TID. On Facebook, it's Leicester Till I Die, the group. Let us know your thoughts. We're looking forward to the Man City game. What a couple of weeks it's been. Maddison could be back this weekend. That's going to be a selection headache, but a good headache. Kelechi, well, he's just been named Player of the Premier League Player of the Month. Fully deserved, I think. Do you agree? And well, he has scored 9 times in the last 9 club games, and the international break's over. We are back to proper footy. I've missed it. I don't know about you. It's not the same, is it? It's not the same, these international breaks. Just a small matter. It might be back, but it's big. It's back big time. It's a top of the table clash. It's a small matter of this. Sorry, Craig, I should have thought about your heart there. Are you all right?
I'm good, thanks, Chris. Yeah, thanks for the warning, and happy Easter to you, and happy Easter to everybody watching. You know, I thought it was Halloween, but it's supposed to be Easter. But you know.
No, you thought it was Halloween looking at me. That's what it was, wasn't it? You know,
I'd never be so cruel.
Oh yeah, whatever you say. Somebody saying here, hi Chris, how are you? I'm brilliant, thank you. Can't wait till tomorrow. As per that video, I can't decide whether I'm actually scared because of the form Man City are on, or whether I'm comfortable because if we play the way we played against Man United and they play the way they played against Man United, it might be the double over them. But I want to we'll come on to the game in a second, Craig. But first of all, I think we should give a shout out to Kelechi, the EA Premier League Player of the Month. Fully deserved, is it not?
I think so, and I think there's I think some people, particularly on this podcast, never had any doubt about his talents, whereas others may have done. No, I think I'm not going to take any credit. I think what I did say earlier on in the season has borne proof. I would say is that he's a confidence player. I've said this all along, and when his confidence is down and he's getting 15, 20 minutes maximum in a game, it's very difficult for him to impose himself on a game and therefore build his confidence. As soon as he got a run of games, he looks so much happier. He looks like he belongs there. And yeah, really, really well-deserved accolade for him.
It is, and I'll be the first to admit, as I've said many times on this show, absolutely over the moon when we signed him. Bit disappointed with him, and as have a lot of managers that have come and gone since he's been with us. But like you say, any player, when they're only getting 15, 20 minutes every third or fourth game, is going to struggle to get a rhythm going. And I always think we played him not to his best position. I think how he's playing now, and I kind of feel that maybe Rodgers has stumbled over this a bit, but he's playing in with Vardy in that two up front. Whether Vardy scores or Nacho scores, I'm not bothered as long as one of them does. But it's suddenly sort of clicked, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what I've noticed is he's very good at picking up space, and when you're the one, then all the defenders, looking for you. You're the one that they're always looking to pick up. So if they block the space in front and behind, it's very difficult for him. I think as soon as he's playing in a two with Vardy up there, Vardy tends to attract the defenders, so it's making a little bit more room for Kelechi. But I mean, a fair play to the guy, because he's had a tough time, as you say, through a few managers. Yet not once have you heard any stories coming out about him throwing his toys out of the pram, asking for a move. He seems to be a genuinely good guy, and I'm sure even those Leicester City fans who are not big fans or who weren't before, only wish him well and look at the great job he's doing. And he just looks like he comes across as a really nice and humble footballer. And in this day and age, when there's so many who seem to be in it for the wrong reasons, then it's really nice to have somebody like that, and great that he's playing for us.
I have put so much weight on just recently eating all this humble pie. But like I said, but I'm going to take my hat off. Like I say, this is what I hoped for when we signed him was, I had visions of him and Vardy with the pace they've got between them, tearing, Premier League teams' defences apart. It didn't happen. I've criticised him, as I think it is every fan's right to criticise a player, as long as it's within the realms of, not being abused, but just, criticising. We are fans after all. That's why we sort of commit to the club, we pay to the club. But you've also got to give the guy credit, as I have done most recently. Yeah. And, that interview he gave on Mothering Sunday, the way he screamed when he got awarded man of the match against United, he comes across as a totally nice person.
Yeah, I think it's raised his profile a little bit, and I was reading a bit more about him and the fact that he lost his mother when he was still a sort of fairly young person, and I think his background and the traits that his mum instilled in him, he's taken forward, and that's why he's always looking up to the heavens whenever he scores and paying credit to her. But fair play to his family and his mum for bringing in such a sort of humble guy. And as I say, it's lovely to see. And you're right. We all criticise players. I criticise the manager, and we're third in the table and an FA Cup semi-final, because we all want the best for our football club at the end of the day. And when it looks like people are not doing the best or not living up to the expectation. And it's always the hope that kills you, isn't it? It's always the hope that you sign a new player and he's going to be a star, and it's always that kills you. So it's great when it comes good. Who knows? There may be a few other players out there who Brendan could work his magic on. It's been interesting watching Gazal have a fantastic season in Turkey. I think leading the assists table and waning with a few goals as well. And obviously he'll be coming back.
I know.
I know that. Close season as well. You're shaking your head. Don't think you will overdose on humble pie.
I totally agree with you, because again, with Gazelle, I don't know. I just think sometimes other leagues suit players better, and there's no guarantee that there's no guarantee. There's certain players, that if Messi comes over into here, Ronaldo has obviously done it in a couple of 3 leagues now, Lewandowski, that they would play well. But your general players, even in the top leagues, are not going to necessarily come from another division or another country and do well. And of course, Gazelle was very much he had the weight of Mahrez on his shoulders.
He did.
But he is doing well.
He is doing well. And I mean, it's interesting, players don't fit in with certain clubs, even in the same league. They can move to another club and it works for them. As you say, it may be that he's found his comfort zone there, but I think there was always a player there. It's just whether somebody can bring it out of him, and whether Brendan in a close season can do that. You've got to look at the same. Tovin, who we're being very, very heavily linked with, had a terrible season at Newcastle, but then went away and is tearing it up in the French league now. Whether he can come back, come here and do a job, we don't know. But that's all speculation, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of that throughout the close season.
2 words: De Bruyne. He didn't exactly set us the Premier League alight the first time round, and look at him now.
Salah was the same, was at Chelsea, wasn't he?
Yes, that's very true.
And didn't do anything as well.
Yes, but no, it is true, and like you say, rumours will abound throughout the summer, I am sure. So we've got this on Sunday. Saturday. I keep saying Sunday. I'm not used to us playing Sunday. Saturday, 5:30. So whatever you do, don't plan a Saturday night out. I know lockdown's over, but you can get it on Sky Sports, BBC Radio Leicester if you are within the county boundaries. And if you want to listen to it when you're not, lcfc.com. You can get it free of charge on there as a radio. Message. A comment here from Rob. And good evening, Rob. Thanks for joining us. Bit nervous about tomorrow. Hopefully hit the ground running. Good to see Yuri and little Wes didn't play in their 3rd matches. Rob, it doesn't look like we've got any injury problems coming back from the international break.
No, which is great. Quite a few players didn't go, and obviously they're going to be available for us as well. And it's always good. You do always worry, when your players go away, and it's something we've had to get used to a little bit more. The more successful we've been, buying, getting better players, and them getting international recognition. But it's great, and I think the worry, as I say, because you had 3 games in quite a short period of time. It's nice to see that I think the international managers recognise that and probably manage their squad groups a little bit better. I mean, obviously, in the early days of the World Cup qualifying, there's a few, shall we say, less difficult games, so the top players could be rested. So I think that's hopefully benefited us, and they've still had a bit of a rest coming into it, as Rob says, playing the last game.
And Kagler scored as well, obviously, for Turkey. So maybe that will set him alight for us at corners. I mean, before we get onto the game itself, and it is a welcome back to the Premier League, like I say, I didn't watch any of I forgot the first 2 were on, to be honest with you. And I had the Poland game on, but I wasn't watching it. I was doing something else while it was on. I am not in the least bit interested in internationals where it's qualifying games. Because if we can't beat them, I mean, it is so set up for the top teams to go through. It's like the Champions League could be turning into, UEFA want England and FIFA want England, Italy, Spain, Belgium. They want those teams there. And it's the way they've got it set out now. I'm not interested in watching San Marino. If we can't beat San Marino, pack up and go home. And at the moment, because of the number of games that these teams are playing, not just British teams, Spanish, French teams, have all had shortened seasons. I basically think they should have just got rid of those tournaments, lock, stock and barrel, and just left us to get on until it's all over with the Premier League. Or am I being unfair?
That's a borderline rant, Chris, isn't it?
Oh no! No, believe you me, it was a full-on rant.
I think I think like we talked about the last time we spoke, and we talked quite a bit about club versus country, and I came up with this idea for getting rid of the World Cup qualifiers by using the results of the European Championships, and I still think it's a valid point, as you say, because. Yeah, because there is little point playing against the likes of San Marino. Those teams who were beaten by Luxembourg may feel a little bit differently, but in general terms, there's very few shocks in these games. And what you would have liked to have seen is Southgate. There's a rant already. Using his squad a little bit better. Just a quick one on Southgate while I've got an opportunity. I saw Adi Boothroyd obviously got a load of stick for the poor under-21s performance in which wasn't qualifying. It was the actual tournament they were in, the Euro 21s. But then you've got some of their best players, young players like Foden, like Bellingham, being taken out by Southgate to go and play bit parts against the likes of San Marino. Now, if you're looking at the England squad as a whole and England trying to build a winning mentality, leave the likes of Foden, leave the likes of Bellingham in the under-21s. Let them go and get a taste of what it's like to actually go deep into a tournament and win something and take that into the senior thing. I don't think he needed those players. Foden played well. Bellingham played for 30 minutes. Anyway, So moving on.
That was definitely not borderline. That was a full on Craig rant there. Man City. Let's get it back to Man City this weekend. I mean, I was surprised. I mean, we've just played the red half. We've now got the blue half coming up, and I was with Man United. That was only the second time we've beaten them since we've been promoted back to the Premier League. With Man City. Who are technically, you would say, the stronger half of Manchester now, we've not got that bad a record. 19 games, 10 wins for City, 7 for us, and 2 draws.
It's not bad, is it? It's not bad, really.
No,
the only thing you would say is maybe, the only thing you would say is maybe our home record against them isn't that strong, but. When we were allowed in grounds, I've been to a few games where we've played very well against Manchester City. I think there was one where we were 4-0 up very quickly, or 3-0 up after about 15 minutes in one. I think it ended 4-2. But we have got a good record. I don't know what it is. Sometimes teams have bogey teams. Maybe we're Man City's. It was a fantastic performance, albeit that we had 3 penalties. Some of them were... you could say 1 or 2 of them were soft, but then you get a lot of soft penalties these days. I think these days only a sort of ladybird can land on your arm and you fall on the floor and you'll get a penalty for it. But we got 3 penalties and we won the game comfortably. And I remember Maddison's fantastic goal. So I think we should take that mentality that we know we can play well against Manchester City into the game and be confident.
Yes. I mean, it was a shame almost not wanting to get onto the international break again, but it's a shame that came when it did, because, to carry on, it would have been great because we were on the high. I'm talking of high, we're going to say hi to David Gamble. Boom, boom. Do you see what I did there? You think this show is just thrown together? It is meticulously planned down to the last second. We're going to come on to the team obviously later. Not sure who this is, but I think he will keep the same team, but bring Maddison and Ricardo on later. It's nice to know we have a strong bench now. And this is Rob again. Thanks for this, Rob. Think we will need the high energy and press tomorrow. Do you think we've got such a good record against Man City because they're the sort of team that let us play our game?
No, I don't think they will, because they are probably the hardest working team in the Premier League, I would say. You know, they press. And I think that's what they weren't doing earlier in the season, and they had a poor start by their own standards. But I've seen it in the last few games over the last couple of months when they've been on this tremendous run. They are pressing really hard and really high, and Pep's on the sidelines getting into them. So I don't think there's any chance of them sitting back and letting us play our football. I think they'll be into us from the off. We've got to be confident enough to pick our places and play through the press.
I think what I meant, I totally get what you're saying. And good evening to Brett and Mrs. Ahern. I fancy a brace from Vardy tomorrow. He doesn't like scoring against Man City. What I was trying to get across was the point you made as well, was that Man City do play a high line, which gives Vardy that space behind to run into that. A lot of the Fulhams, the West Broms, and those teams don't give us, that's, and I probably didn't come across very well. That's what I was trying to get across, That's
fair. That's a fair point. Yeah. No, they do push you up. They play a very high line, and as you say, it can play into our strengths if we can keep the ball long enough. That's the thing.
Yeah. I've got to ask you this. Brett, as he said there, fancy a brace from Vardy, and he does like to score an odd goal against Man City, does Jamie Vardy. But I'm starting to feel like I'm saying that week in, week out. Inacho scored 9 in 9 club games. Yeah. Vardy hasn't scored in now 14-15. If you were to reverse those roles, and he has earned the right, I suppose, Jamie Vardy, but if you reverse those roles, Vardy would, Inacho would be getting so much stick, and Vardy's not. Vardy, yes, he's being the provider, and he is getting close. He is hitting the post and just wides and what have you. He's got to start scoring again, hasn't he, though?
He has. What I would say is that if Iheanacho had gone on such a poor run, I don't think we would be playing with 2 up front. I think he would have reverted back to the 1, and it would have been Jamie. So I don't think Kelechi would have been given the opportunity to go that many games, which is probably what you're saying there. But yeah, I think you're also seeing, the almost a bit of a transition in what Vardy can bring to the team, which is, from my point of view, is good to see, because there was no way, one, that we could continue playing Jamie, just playing 1 up front with him, hoping that he can continue to run himself silly and play behind the back line, and 2, it meant that we would have to try and find a direct replacement for him. But the way that we've evolved a little bit with a 2 up front means that Jamie's role has changed slightly. We've seen that he's a really good provider. He creates space even when he's not on the ball. He's probably one of the better forward players off the ball that there is in the Premier League. You see some players like, let's say, for instance, Martial or something at Man United isn't interested in making those off the run balls to create space for other ones. He's just interested in himself. So we're seeing an evolution, I think, of not only the way we play, but the way Jamie Vardy plays, which will allow him to play on a little bit longer as well. And we can sort of give him little rests now as well, because we've got a different way of playing. So I think it's almost happened by accident, the way that we've had injuries, we've had to put people in. But I think it's something that Brendan will take forward. And it allows him to play that three at the back as well. You know, these two things almost go together. That he plays the three that allows him to play two. You know, I don't think any of us are really big fans. Yeah, I don't think any of us have really said that we're a big fan of it. But we know that we've got Fofana and Soyuncu who are really good, solid, exciting defenders almost. But you do need a little bit of experience to pull them in. So I think it's all slotted in, and Brendan's sort of stumbled across a dynamic that's working for us.
I said that at the start. It is almost like he's fallen into it. Like you say, none of us, I don't think, when we started with the threes at the back occasionally, we've sort of gone like, oh, no, please not. But it all seems to be, it's like like all pieces of the jigsaw coming together and fitting at the right time. Whereas if you have one piece, it doesn't work very well without the other. But like you say, it's come well. And there's not, the two up front is very much out of fashion at the moment. I think it was possibly yourself, Craig, that said before, there's probably only us and Burnley that are playing that way. That said, great, because teams aren't used to it. It's like, what's this coming at us? And I think if you've got two strikers up at the front, it doesn't really matter which one scores, because as long as one of them is scoring, where when there's one up front and they're not scoring, it sticks out a bit more. And like you say, with Jamie, what he does off the ball, just by being him, is he will take a couple of defenders with him, because there's no way you cannot risk tracking Jamie Vardy and leaving him space.
Exactly.
So you've got to go, because of who he is, so you've got to go with him. And it is absolutely just, like you say, it's a joy. Long may it continue. Long may it continue. But going into the match, this is our recent history. Obviously, there was the 5-2 last time, and we'll come on to that next after this. They beat us 1-0 and 3-1. So they did do the double overs the last season. Before that, I said we got the 1-0 win. It is very tight between us, but it can't be another 5-2, can it?
No. I to be honest, I'd be very surprised if, when it comes to the score predictions, you've gone for a 5-2, Chris. I'd be surprised if anybody has. I'm sure someone will be putting a quid on Bet365.
Other betting sites are available, by the way.
Exactly, yeah. But if Bet365 want to sponsor the show, crack on. But yes, I can't see it. I can't see it being that kind of scoreline. I'd love it, but I can't see it.
No. It was weird, and I was talking to the Man City fan last night about it. I think that was possibly Man City's only their second game, our third. It was such a stop-start to the season because of teams being in lockdown because of the COVID. But people are actually calling for Pep's head. He's not signing his contract. We've just got stubbed 5-2 by Leicester. Excuse me, where are they now? And I do wonder. I mean, Man City, obviously, you don't get rid of Pep on a couple of results, but maybe West Bromwich Albion are regretting making the decision as quickly as they did.
I think you're probably right. I spoke to a West Brom fan a couple of weeks ago, and obviously one person can't be the voice of a club, but he was saying all his friends, all his Baggies fans really loved Slaven Bilic and was shocked by the decision, and really do not like Sam, and they're almost happy to get relegated if it means they get rid of Sam Allardyce. It's that desperate for them.
I know that. We've been there. Every team's been there in a way, It's basically, if we hadn't gone down to the third tier, would we have got rid of Ian Holloway? Probably not. But we did. We got Pearson and the rest, as they say. Rob, it was great. I'm a Pratt fan, to be honest with you. And when I say a Pratt fan, I don't mean Craig. I mean Dennis Pratt, who the player. Sorry, mate. But no, I mean, I do like him. It is going to be a bit of a selection headache, and it'd be interesting to see what you go with later in the show. But again, this time last season, we were all going, "What the hell's going on?" We'd started that terrible run, and this season it's almost like reverse. We've got the players coming back. Maddison is in contention, and I got to feel a lot more hopeful this season than I did last season.
Yeah, I mean, I know Brendan's talked about a lot of the mental side of the squad this season, and with that being a massive change, you know, the players have learned and developed definitely as players and have got more experience in the Premier League. But I think it's the mental side that he's talked about quite a lot, and the fact that that is an incremental change. You know, I think we've got the best record against the top six teams this season, which shows again that we've almost lost that inferiority complex, and that doesn't happen overnight. You've got to believe that you're a top side. You've got to believe that you're a top player and that you belong in that environment, and you can go out and get those results. And I think that's what the whole coaching squad has worked on quite heavily this season, to build the belief, and they can take that out onto the pitch. What I would say is that for me, this is almost like a free hit, this game. Anything that we get out of it is going to be great. I don't think we've got any chance of catching them anyway. So for me, and you know, maybe that sort of influenced a little bit in the team selection as well, that I've gone for later, is that it's the next 3 or 4 games that are going to be where our season is defined for me in the league. So I think this is as I say, anything we get, great. If we can get a good result, builds confidence, but it's the following games that are going to be the big ones.
Right. Facebook user there, he brought that up earlier, and I've just posted it now. He basically saying exactly what you were saying. Yeah. I would imagine that. I bet that's you just typing away at the same time. Looks like people are agreeing with you. I mean, I was actually going to say last night I was talking to the Man City fan, and I said to him, I said, "Now come on, mate. You know, let's have a look at it. You're being greedy. You're going for 4 trophies here. I mean, I want you to win the League Cup because I want you to beat Spurs. You've virtually, if you lose tomorrow, you've virtually got the Premier League tied up. You've got, you know, FA Cup. I want you to lose. Champions League, I'd be quite happy if you doing that. Give us the 3 points. It's not going to stop you winning the league, but it will maybe stop Man United coming second. I don't think that will happen, but that would be, you know, that would only be fair of them. They could do that for us. But Scott, good evening. Hi guys, great show. Thank you very much, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
I think we'll struggle tomorrow. My reason being that we have the likes of Barnes playing on the wing. That helps stretching Man City's defence. Be glad to be proved wrong. Come on, you foxes. Stay with us, Scott, because later on when Craig picks his team, I think he's probably got that in mind, actually, with the way he's gone. But not that I know what he's picked, obviously. But stick with us. It is. I mean, and the other thing I said to the Manchester City fan, not so long ago, we were playing Manchester City in the 3rd tier of English football. 2 what are now classed as big, established, and I think you can call us established now, or on the verge of being established, Premier League teams. We're knocking on the door of the Big 6. Man City, one of the richest clubs in the world. Here we are in a top-of-the-table clash, 3rd versus 1st. Man City, we managed to get out of the 3rd tier first time. It took Man City a little bit longer and a playoff win, thanks to Paul Dickoff, who we all remember and love. How football changes.
It's amazing, and obviously, yes, you know, money plays a big part in that. But we've seen other clubs throw money at it and it not worked. You know, it is. You've got to have more than that. You've got to have a structure in place. You've got to have owners, owners come in for a lot of stick. Obviously, we all think we've got the best owners, and I think, it's hard to argue against that we've just got fantastic owners. Every other club has got, owners. Some have got more money than others, but it's what those owners bring to it in terms of who they appoint below them as well. Because owners, are not making the decisions about the pitch, who's going to play. They put people into positions to build a team. Mike Ashley, for instance, he's got enough money for Newcastle to be a much more successful club than they are at the moment, but he's not appointed the right people. Our owners haven't been scared to make changes when they feel it's necessary. They're successful business people, and they're probably one of the few football club owners who do bring that business acumen to the football club. If things aren't working, you change it. That's what happens in business, to be successful. But you're right. We've come a hell of a long way. Man City have come even further. Money really helped, obviously, because they had so much money they could buy the biggest and best players. But that took them a little bit of time. They didn't get. If you looked at that team that won the league, with the great Aguero goal, there was a lot of players who you wouldn't have said were fantastic players. Zabaleta was in there, I think. Dzeko came off the bench and scored a goal. That was a team that was in transition then. They're a much bigger and better team now. Maybe that's part of the journey that we're on. I don't think we'll ever be as big because of the size and stature of the club, but we are well established. Going back to the word you used, and it was great to see Guardiola speaking very highly of us in his press conference yesterday, I think, and he said the same. He said this isn't just a new thing. This has happened over the last 10 years, and particularly in the last 5 or 6. With our recruitment, the way that we won the league, we had a little bit of a dodgy patch, but we came through it. But the recruitment side of it, the manager, he thinks Brendan's a great manager as well. So it's nice to see that recognition coming now. It's still nice for us to be a little bit under the radar. I see a lot of people on the fans groups and forums complaining when we're not talked about, but it's quite nice to be coming up on the rails and being an outsider, to be honest.
It certainly is. Rob says here, it's an amazing what a shake can do. It is, but then again, a shake is no good without the rattle and roll to go with it. Thank you.
Very good, Chris.
I'm here all week, guys. I'm here all week. Come on. I'm saying nothing. I'm just waiting for the call from the BBC.
You're there all week, Chris, only as long as they don't find out where you live.
Exactly. You come and shut me down. Rob, thanks very much for crossing that one over. It was easy for me to sort of nod in. But just taking up the point you've said there, Craig, it was a very, very good point. Our recruitment has been amazing. And the funny thing is, we said it was all down to Steve Walsh, that he had this amazing network that he built up and what have you. And he got a lot of credit, quite rightly, because he did bring some obviously excellent players through. And yet I was speaking a few weeks ago to the Everton fan about him in the Opposition View show, and he was absolutely so... And having said that, he was there with Sam Allardyce, of course, but he was so unimpressed with Steve Walsh and his signings. And I don't, maybe we gave Steve Walsh more credit, and I'm not digging at him because obviously it was a great time. But again, sometimes taking the top person doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to have the same success.
No, it doesn't. And Steve Walsh did a great job, but he was part of a team. And they always say that the best way to consistently improve is to appoint people below you who are better than you, And that's what we'd got, that over a period of time, we'd built up. People had learned from Steve Walsh, people talk about this Moneyball system as well, which is very much about data. And I know that we use a similar technique in terms of that. We look at the data, we look at all the stats. You know, we have a very long list of players who meet certain criteria, and then it's whittled down. You know, that can't be the job of one man. That's a whole team and a whole network of people who work towards it. The one at the top gets all the credit. You know, it's not that long ago that the guy who's at the head of our recruitment policy now was getting so much stick, and people wanted him out of the club. Now he's still there, and he's either appointed people below him who are doing a great job, so he's got to be given a lot of credit as well. You know, but our recruitment is got to be the envy of the Premier League.
Yeah, Rob, I don't know what you're trying to say here, but he's saying it's like the Wheel Tappers and Shunters Club. And for those of you that are old enough to remember, I'm going to take it to the committee. And, I think there's probably only Rob that's old enough to remember that. I'll tell you something
there, Chris. That I'm quite happy to take the Colin Crompton role out of that. You're quite welcome to be the Bernard Manning of this double act.
I will say one thing, that I have got the stature, as in I have got the Bernard Manning belly. So yes, I could very easily fulfil that role. I'll take it. Before we come on to your team, I want to have a look at, like you mentioned this before, the upcoming games. And there was, let me just bring it up here, on the BBC, Karen Kearney, the lady footballer, she's a BBC Sport columnist as well. And she's got Leicester are in a really strong position. I think the next 3 games will tell us a lot about them. They play Manchester City and West Ham in the Premier League, where they sit third with a 7-point lead over 5th place West Ham. And they have an FA Cup semi-final against Southampton. We will know more about their mental strength, how far they've progressed, and whether they can finish in the top 4 after those 3 games. And I think she makes a very good point.
She does, although, you know, I'm not sure they would say that about any other club, you know, if it was Arsenal or Spurs or whatever. But I guess they've earned the right because they've been there year after year, even though they're having a poor season this time. So, you know, I think we have to earn the right to be given the same kind of respect that other clubs get. But yeah, it's perfectly right. You know, as I say, this is why I think this is almost this free hit. You know, the Man City game in the whole structure of our season doesn't really matter. Yes, you don't want to get beaten. Yes, you don't want to be on the end of a good hiding. A good result will build confidence going forward, but it is those next few games that are, you know, the make or break part of the season. And I think in the league, you know, if we get another 3 wins and we've got West Ham, Palace, and I can't remember, we've got another couple of winnable games. I think we've got Southampton in the league as well as in the cup.
Yeah, and Crystal Palace.
So those are the winnable games, you know, and if we do that, if we win the games we're expected to win, we'll finish in the top 4.
Yes, I think you made a very good point that you've got to earn the right to be considered one of those teams, and whether we like it or not, you know, Arsenal almost the reverse, that they are getting the recognition for struggling this season. If Arsenal were in our position, everybody would go, well, it's Arsenal. it's expected. And yes, you know, we've only really technically had 3 good seasons in the Premier League. I mean, yes, okay, you can go back to O'Neill. I mean, that was the League Cup, and in those days, let's be honest, you know, we knocked Man United out on the way to one of the finals, and it was like a B team that we played. Big teams did not take it. You know, Leicester Tranmere was the League Cup final. This year it's Man City Tottenham. It's been so it was a different times, but you know, we won it. So there was that season, and there was last season when, you know, we were unlucky, but we still finished 5th. And there's this season. Apart from that, we've not been challenging or even anywhere near a top 6 team. So you made the very good point that you have got to earn that right, and people are still looking at us and saying, especially after last season, can they keep it going?
Yeah, I think I mentioned a few weeks ago that The FA Cup is a fantastic distraction, and but now obviously we're getting close to it in a semi-final. I think it becomes more and more important. But not only for the club, not only for the fans, but, and I've touched on this before, for the want of a better word, the ego of Brendan. You know, Brendan is talked about as being a fantastic coach, and I think he believes that too, and he's earned the right to think that way. His ego will not allow for us dropping off and finishing fifth again, because that is a really black mark against him as a manager at this level. So I think he'll be doing everything in his powers to make sure to concentrate on those games and get the job done before we go into the last 3 games of the season. As I say, he really wants the FA Cup well, just because you know nobody's ever won it for Leicester City. So now we've got close to that. That's becoming important to him as well. Is
that such a bad thing though? I can remember in my lifetime a certain Midlands manager saying, whilst I may not be the best football manager out there, I'm certainly in the top 1. And the late great Brian Clough, and I know he was at Derby, I know he was at Notts Forest, but you know, as a manager, you have to give him the credit he deserved with the clubs that he managed. They weren't Man United's or Liverpool's, and sometimes having an ego, there's a very thin line between being big-headed and having a huge ego and being self-confident in what you do. And in a way, you know, having a manager, like you said, it's not a bad thing. Having a manager that believes in themselves rather than somebody that maybe doubts themselves.
Definitely, no, I don't. Sorry, no, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, because that confidence is then passed on to the players. You know, that you build this atmosphere of confidence and belief. And you could probably look at Puel. I mean, Puel wasn't a bad football manager. I'll word it that way. He wasn't a bad football manager, and he has to be given credit for almost starting this transition into the way that we play football now. What he probably didn't have was that way of getting that belief into the players as well, and he didn't exude that air of confidence. He seemed quite a dour character. In footballing philosophies, there's probably not a lot of difference between the two managers, but you know, you're right. That arrogance, for the want of a better word, that belief is being passed on to the players. I remember Martin O'Neill once saying that Brian Clough told him that he was arrogant. He said, "You're an arrogant little so-and-so with nothing to be arrogant about." And I think that sort of sunk in with Martin, and he took it to heart. And but he did a fantastic job for us, but we're now playing on a whole different level.
Yeah. Rob's put the point here, and somebody's asked about a player, and we'll come on to them at the end. So I'm not ignoring the comment about a certain player that we have been linked with, but we will come on to them later. Rob has made this point. Think we'll need a 6-point cushion going into the last 3 games, Rob. At the start of the season, I looked at that and I thought, ooh, that's going to be a hard finish to the season. This year, we are the only team that has the only team out of 20 teams that has beaten the so-called Big 6 clubs. We've beaten every one of them. We've just beaten Man United. We beat Chelsea again recently. I know they've got a different manager now. Tottenham Hotspur we've beaten, and again, there's Tottenham Hotspur. All right, they've won a couple of games, but they're still having a season. Those 3 games now, to me, I'm not scared about them. Because if we play like we played, depends on which Leicester turn up, but if we played like we played against Man United the other day, we could play them off the pitch.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, you looked at those at the start of the season and you thought, yeah, we better be in a good spot when it gets to those. I remember it's not that long ago that we would have been looking at that thinking we better have 40 points before we get to those last 3 games. You know, so it just shows you how things have changed down the years. But you're right. We shouldn't go into any of those games now with an inferiority complex. Yes, we've beaten Chelsea. They are looking stronger than they were at the time, but they're not blowing any teams away. They're winning. You know, it's 1-0 to the Chelsea instead of 1-0 to the Arsenal these days. So yeah, we should be confident. But I agree with Rob. I think I'd be a lot happier with a 6-point cushion going into those, and that's why I repeat, these next few games are the ones where our season will probably be defined.
I agree. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would be a lot happier with the cushion. Of course, I would be. I was just saying, I don't think we should be as scared as we would have been earlier. I brought this point up before, and I'm just going to go back to it. The fact that Man City are after the quadruple. It's never been done in 118 years. They would be the first team in 118 years to do it. God, I need to get out more, don't I? I really do. The joy of lockdown is knowing all these things. But no, obviously I looked it up. But it is I know, hard to believe, but it would be an amazing thing. But that's going to work in our favour. Let's presume, we've got tomorrow. But they've got, we're only playing one game a week. Apart from when we're doing a West Brom, I think it is, because it was cancelled because of the Cup. We're only playing one game a week. They've got a big game coming up that they're going to have to sort of choose the players around the League Cup final carefully because of the League Cup final, because they're going to want to win it. That they're still in with the league, they're still in with the FA Cup, and of course they've got the Champions League. So they've got a big fixture backlog, and that's going to work, I think, not just in our favour, but in Man United's, in Chelsea's. Well, as I said, that Man United are still in the Europa League. Chelsea are still in the Champions League. They've not been knocked out, have they? They're still in it, I think. So fairness, I know we got knocked out, and I would have wanted to go further. It's almost like a blessing in disguise.
You're right, and first of all, I'd just like to congratulate you on your stats. And I bet you never thought that that Ladybird book of big football facts would come in handy, but there you have it. You're right.
It's my Bible.
The others in the top four are all still in Europe, all still in more competitions, and you're right. They have to juggle their squads a little bit more, and more chance of picking up injuries, because they're going to be playing midweek, where we've probably got a bit of a free run through and just playing weekends for the rest of the season. So you're right, it should play into our hands to be able to have more rest for the players and come out fresh each week, where the others are going to have to juggle and deal with a little bit of fatigue.
Yeah. We're going to look at your team. We're going to get a quick 10-second break. Oh, well, let me just have a look and see. Rob is really, you are sticking the knife in here, Rob, in large print. Do you know? I know I was 60 on Monday, but come on, you know what I mean? It's not. I know what you're thinking. I don't look it, but yes, I was. And you know what? I'm just going to take this aside now, because I'm going to have a big rant here. I thought 60. I thought, at least, what's good about 60? I'm going to get a free bus pass. If I lived in Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales, I'd be getting a free bus pass. In England, I've got to wait another 7 bloody years. Totally unfair, if you ask me. Totally unfair. But yes, I am. I would need the big print.
I think that may be something to do with the restraining order that's on you, Chris, as well, that you're not allowed to leave the house alone.
Shush, don't. You promised you wouldn't bring that up. But anyway, we're going to be back in 10 seconds, and we'll have a look at the team you have picked. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, Alan Smith here. Be sure to watch and listen to Chris on Leicester Till I Die TV. You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels. Up the Foxes.
Thank you, Alan. I'm almost at the point of I daren't look at the comments in case it's another one from Rob. Yes, free prescriptions. That is actually one good thing I have got. I was about to reorder So I have a yearly plan for my prescriptions. I'm on a few tablets, and I was about to renew it, but thankfully my birthday came before it was renewable. So I am going to get 3 prescriptions now. Oh, and a Zimmer frame. I'm going to get a Zimmer frame as well. Apparently, that's on order. Right. So let us have a look now if I can do this correct. Here we go. Didn't think it was going to work then. So we're going to have a look at the team, as Craig always does. Puts on Brendan's shoes, Brendan's hat, and that's all. Thankfully, it'd be getting a bit kinky if it was any more. And we're going to look at the team that he thinks Brendan's going to put out against Manchester City. Now, first of all, Craig, let's have a look at the formation, because we always sort of went with the 4-1-4-1 for many weeks. Many weeks. But it's almost like now this is the formation that's working for us, isn't it? The 3-4-1-2.
Yeah, it seems to be. You know, as I say, I think it's like he wants to get his best players on the pitch. What's going to be interesting is when we know Maddison is available for this one, but when Barnes is back fit as well, then it's going to be really interesting about how he deals with that, whether he decides to switch formation. I don't know. It could be, hopefully, you know, we've got the job done and got the points in the bag by the time Barnes comes back. But it's going to be interesting, and that's why he's the manager and he's paid the big bucks. But this kind of formation seems to be working well for us now.
Just quickly, just say, Andy, I don't know. Do I get a winter fuel allowance when I'm 60, or does that come later? I've made a note, so thank you for asking me that. You know, Andrew, is it? I think this is probably your relation, your brother here, Craig. We keep talking about being in the top 4 for Champions League, but if Liverpool win the Champions League and Arsenal win Europa, we would need to finish 3rd. I think we've got to presume until that happens that we are looking at top 4, you know. And that said, obviously, you know, we're in the 3rd, we're in that position at the moment. But you know, let's see if they do it first of all. There's no guarantee that either of those things are going to happen, of course. Right, let's have a look at this team then. And I think the goalkeeper is pretty much. Oops, he says he's trying to learn to type. 1 second. You know something? I used to be good at this. Right.
If it's easier, I can just put Ward in. You know, if it's easier for you, Chris.
No, I was actually typing Casper. I was just about to put him at the centre back, but yeah, I don't have to put Schmeichel. But it goes without saying, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, just as a quick aside on Andy Bird's thought there, in terms of finishing 3rd. I mean, it pains me to agree with him, but he's right. We do need to do that. There has been a precedence, I think, when I think Spurs kept Arsenal out, or vice versa, by finishing 4th. So, I mean, it'd be a terrible way for us to lose, you know, a Champions League spot. So, I think it's a fair point that we need to concentrate and try and maintain the 3rd, you know. But yes, going on here, yeah,
Sorry, can I just say, it's obviously a pick on. You're being very horrible to me, everybody, to say it was my birthday this week. I'll forgive you, Andy. Go and make a donation to Leicester Till I Die and help me cover the cost of running it, and I'll forgive you all. Is there a place for Barnes when he's fit? Well, stick around, Andy, and you are about to find out. So let's go back to this, and yeah, as we say, Schmeichel in goal. So we'll go across the back 3 here, and obviously at left back we are looking at Soyuncu. Yes. Yeah.
So Soyuncu, Evans.
He's looking better in that position, isn't he? Because I was a bit worried about, you know, when we started playing this 3 at the back. I think it was Brighton. He didn't look comfortable at all.
No, I think he's getting used to it. You know, he's learning. He's understanding when he can go. You know, when he doesn't go. he's really lucky that, you know, he's got two experienced people behind him. We can hear, with no fans in, we can hear how vocal Casper is, constantly talking to the players, trying to get them in positions. And obviously, you know, Evans is maybe not as vocal, but an experienced player. And I think those two are helping the two younger players, Soyuncu and Fofana, learn their roles, and they're learning by playing. So there will still be the odd mistake, as we saw with England with John Stones, who I thought that, you know, I thought they really went over the top on John Stones, to be honest. But yeah, they will make mistakes, but they are learning this role, and they're looking really solid. This back three are looking very solid.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch the game because, like I said before, I didn't watch England at all. But I first heard that it was Pope's mistake, and suddenly then everybody started going on Stones. But like I say, that was England. But the back three is beginning to look comfy there. Soyuncu, Evans in the centre, Fofana on the right. Yeah, they are beginning, like you say, they have got to play together, these players, to get used to each other, but it is beginning to gel, isn't it?
It is. You know, I'm not a huge fan of it, I must admit, but it seems to be working. And while something's working, then you stick with it. As I say, when Barnes comes back in, he may have to rethink that and go back to a 4 just to accommodate, you know, a proper 4 across the middle. So I think it's a watch this space. I know Rob touched on it. I'm sure. I think Brendan will find a place for Barnes. I think, but what he may do is ease him in gently and change formation during a game rather than throw him straight back in.
We've mentioned this so many times. If we're winning, sorry, Barnes, wait your turn.
Yeah, and I think it has to be that way, you know, and we'll see the same on that in a moment as we go through the rest of this team. You know, players earn the right. Otherwise, you know, what's the point in coming in, doing a fantastic job, then when as soon as a player's fit again, you lose your role. You know, that's part of management. You've got to reward players who are doing a good job for you.
Yes, yeah. So in midfield, centre midfield here, who are we having on the left? Are we having Ndidi there?
Yeah, it's Ndidi and Tielemans, and I put them, you know, I put them side by side. Whereas really, it's you know, we know one will play in front of the other. You know, Ndidi is that sort of enforcer. And again, that works well, having the two Fofana and Soyuncu. We've seen, you know, like to go forward as well. You know, they can pivot around Ndidi, who just sits there in front of Evans, and Fofana we've seen loves to get forward. But then obviously Tielemans sits in front of him, and it really has developed this season into this sort of quarterback for us and runs the game, and he's growing in stature week in, week out.
I think you are definitely a secret American football fan, aren't you? You love comparing him to a quarterback, you know. But yeah, I get what you mean totally. Left midfield there, Timothy Castagna.
Yeah, so Castagna and Pereira. I think Ricardo's going to come back in as well on the right hand side. I know, you know, Albrighton does a great job. We've said this week in, week out, but I think Ricardo gives you that greater athleticism, and obviously he's a stronger defender, and particularly against Man City, they do like to work the ball out wide. So I think it's going to be important that Ricardo is back in for that, and obviously the speed of transition as well, that when we do get the ball, he gets forward much quicker than Mark. Now, it's unlucky on Mark, but I think this is one of those occasions where Ricardo will get put straight back in.
And I mean, when he was injured, he wasn't actually, it wasn't a major injury, was it? It was only a sort of a It wasn't a sort of a long layoff that he's had. So, and like you say, having those two on the wide, and the first time you came up with this and you got it spot on, is what Brendan went for. I'm like, oh, really? But they are defenders, but they both like getting forward, even if they're playing in a back four. And having them, they can come back and make that back three a back five when needed.
Yeah. I think it gives us that ultimate flexibility between transitioning, between sitting deep if we have to, if we haven't got a lot of the ball. But then when we do, breaking quickly. And this probably, Man City is probably going to be the perfect game for that quick transition, that when the ball does break down, we do turn it over, that we can make the most of it in a quick transition against another team who sits back. It's less important, but against a Man City team, I think it's going to be really, really important that we can get forward quickly.
And then this is going to be an interesting one. In centre midfield, you're sticking with Mr. Perez.
I am, and two reasons. One, I think Perez has earned the right to keep his spot. That's a much better position for him. He gets involved in the game more. He's a clever player. We've said this before. He finds pockets of space and he feeds the ball into two strikers. And that probably helps him as well, that he's got two strikers in front of him that he can work off, rather than when he was playing there before, he only had Vardy. So he'd look up and there was only one option. Now he's got two. I think that helps him. But also, Maddison has got this injury that has been niggling him for a long time. With this game being almost a free hit, I don't think there's any point in risking him getting injured again for the run-in. The run-in after this game is more important, in my eyes, than this game is. So I can't see the benefit of throwing him back in against such a team as Man City, where he's going to have to do a lot of running because we're not going to have the ball as much as we would have against other teams. So for me, you protect Maddison, you put him on the bench. If the game's going great, you give him 20 minutes. If it's not, then you make more defensive changes. But I can't see any benefit in bringing him in when Perez has been playing well.
Yeah. Oh, again, I agree with you. Couple of comments here. TM goes 2-1 to the Foxes. I'll take that now.
We'll take that as well.
Facebook user here, Mahrez. That's a fraudulent slip, isn't it? Madders, Vardy, Nacho, or Perez, and the last two. And Andy says here, playing this system, there is no place for Albrighton, but you've covered that, Craig. And Albrighton's great to have on the bench. Apparently Maddison came off the bench in the away game. He does, and we know, don't we, Craig? Brendan doesn't rush players back, and when you're in the form we're in, you don't change a winning team just because a player's back from injury, and it works out better, as he did with Maddison back then. He eased him in a bit longer and a bit longer and a bit longer each game. Yeah,
and I think he's building this sort of team, this squad ethic as well. And if you want to be one of those, regular top 14, you've got to accept that it's a squad game now, that you can't just walk back in, and the manager's going to have to rotate it. And that's the only way to keep a squad happy. You can't keep everyone happy, but if you play well and then the star comes back and you're dropped, how does that make you feel? It doesn't help. So, and I think Maddison would be, in agreement with that as well. When you see him in the stands, it's great to see how excited he gets when we're scoring and Kelechi gets his hat trick, and he comes down to the side of the pitch and he's part of it, and he's got this infectious enthusiasm. And I'm sure that as much as he would want to be playing, he wants to be part of a winning squad and a winning team, and they've all got to buy into it. So I don't think it's a problem. We've got to get used to this, that players are going to come in and out of the team.
And in fairness, he's not getting any younger, is Mark. And he's one of those players like, He is a good squad player. He is a good player. I mean, you know, in a lot of ways, he's been one of my players of the season because he's come good when, you know, when he was finally brought in. But he's of an age now where I think he could possibly do more damage coming on for the last 15, 20 minutes against a tired defence than playing the 90, you know. Looking at the top two here, I think it goes without saying, doesn't it? You know.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Premier League Player of the Month and the old man himself, who I think it's only a matter of time. He did snatch at a chance in the last game, which was disappointing, and you could see how disappointed he was. But you know, this may be the perfect game, as you said. He does like scoring against them, and even if it goes off his knee or something. I mean, there's every chance, you know, that we're going to get a penalty. So maybe that's the route back to his goal scoring.
That would be extremely nice. I mean, I don't think we're going to get 3 penalties again. Do you?
No, I don't think so. But let's hope for one if it's the winning one.
Well, exactly. Now, I'm just going to look here and I'm just going to see. We can take that out now because what I want to do is I want to try and bring the team up here. Technology never work with children and animals, and it isn't. No, it's not working as typical. So I'm gonna have to, unless I can do that.
This would have worked when you were 59, Chris.
It would. Actually, I got a new mobile phone. I needed a new mobile phone, and actually, I'm at that age now. I had to get one of my daughters round to come round and and help me out with it. You know, here we go. You see, it's just me trying to be clever and get working. So hopefully, that has now come up. So that's the thing. Because what I've done, I wanted just to make it a little bit bigger. I just wanted to confirm and compare. Sorry, I just wanted to compare that team to the ones that beat. Sorry, Facebook user here. Old folk and technology. This is very true. And you haven't put your name there, so I can't block you. This starting 11. This starting 11 is a certain lock. I'm not sure what you mean there, Bookline. But good evening. Thank you for joining us, Bookline.
I think that's youthful speak, Chris. You wouldn't recognise it, mate.
This is very true. Right, so compare that to the team that I'm just looking here on the BBC website as the team that played in the 5-2 win. Okay, Schmeichel, let's say that goes as a given. The BBC had it as 5 at the back, but the main back 3 there are Marty, Evans and Soyuncu. So just the one change there with Fofana. Castagna was on the right and James Justin was on the left. And then we had the 4 going across midfield, which was Barnes on the left, Mendy and Tillemans in the middle, and Pratt was on the right, believe it or not, and then obviously Jamie up front. So you know, times have changed. Nacho came on in the 85th, Maddison came on in the 69th, and good old Christian Fuchs came on in the 80th minute. So yeah, you can see how the teams kind of sort of evolved, but it's still the spine is still there though.
Yeah, and you know, if you think James Justin's missing from that, Maddison is missing from that, Harvey Barnes is missing from that, this still looks like a strong lineup to me, and it just shows you how the squad's evolving.
Yes, definitely. Right, so it's that time of the show. go over to the committee, and we will. Or an Englishman, Scotsman, and Irishman walk into the pub. The lucky sods. Boom, boom. There's my joke for the day. Where are we? So it's score prediction time, and I know you never agree with me, but let's just have a look at what we've gone for with the X-Foxes. 3 of us have gone for draws there. Steve Walsh and Steve Linux have gone 1-1. I've gone 2-2, and I think any of us would probably take those results now and bite your hand off. Mm-hmm. Ian Marshall, and he doesn't mince his words. He says what he thinks, and he thinks it's going to be 3-1 to Man City. So you've never agreed with me all season, Craig. So I very much doubt that you are now. But what are you going
Chris,
to go?
I did agree with you once. I think we both had a 2-1 victory a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure whether it was Brighton or whatever, but we did agree once, and we were right.
But that was the only time.
I don't think Marshy's ever gone for us to win a game this season, to be honest. So
he has, but he's third in the league. There's only poor Steve Linux behind him, who's only got it right once all season.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Linux had got a draw for us as well, because he's usually goes against it. But I must admit, when I saw those scores you put up there, my heart sank a little bit, Chris, because in my head I was going for a 2-2.
No. Well, I might have to nip out to Bet365. Other betting sites are available, and have a few quid on that. But there we go. It is what's the one I'm looking for? I think we'd all take the draw at this point, wouldn't we?
We would, yeah, we would. Yeah. Just a decent, solid performance will do for us to take into the next games, and no injuries. Yes.
No, that's the thing, isn't it? But what's the bigger game? Last question here. What's the bigger game? And I'm not going to say the Man City game, the West Ham game, because that's the one I think that is more important than the Man City. Because like you say, if we take a hit against Man City, who hasn't this season, but West Ham or Southampton in the Cup semi-final, which for you is the bigger game?
I would say, my answer may have been different a few weeks ago, but as it stands now, I would say that Southampton is the bigger game, because even if we got a poor result against West Ham, we've still got games to put it right. We get it wrong against Southampton, that's it. That glimpse of a cup final is gone. So for me, in the positions that we're in now, I'll say Southampton's the bigger game.
Do you think it would have been, I know I did say that was the last question, but do you think, and we'll talk about this more obviously as we get closer to that game, but do you think we might have been better off drawing, let's say, for example, Chelsea, where we maybe weren't, because we're the favourites going into this game. We've got to be the favourites going into this game. And you know what Leicester are like when they're favourites? I've got to be totally honest with you. I'm more worried about that game than I am the final 3 games of the season, because I just think it's expected of us. Southampton have got nothing to lose, because they're not going to go down, but they're not going to win anything. They've got a couple of points to prove this season, and obviously against us as well. And I'm not going to be honest with you, even at this point, I am kind of pulling my pants a little bit.
Yeah, I think their team talk will still be the 9-0. That's all the talk around that game is going to be the 9-0. They're not going to be able to escape it, and that'll be motivation enough for them, I think, to actually raise their game. I don't think there's any chance that we can stroll through that game, just turn up and think we can win it. We're going to have to put in a good performance. And I know you mentioned Burnley. I think probably Southampton are probably the other team who plays with 2 up front now, with Ings and Shea Adams. So I think our formations will be pretty similar as well. So I think it'll be a tight game, that one.
And of course, it's the second one. So when we come to it, we'll know who we are playing. Tony, good evening. Very optimistic there. Let's go for the treble over Man City. That would be great. Good news is, I know that it's not good news generally for Leicester fans, but they are allowing fans into our semi-final. I think it's 2,000. I understand the local council not wanting fans to come from other parts of the country into their borough, especially, to be blunt with everybody, Leicester's not got a great reputation when it comes to COVID, a COVID history. So I can kind of understand that. But the good news is that they're actually giving the tickets away to NHS workers and school kids. So that's some good news, because let's be honest with you, the NHS, they deserve it. And I think if you've got NHS football fans, give them the free tickets, let them get in. Love that idea totally.
Yeah,
Craig, thank you so much, mate. As always, you are the wise old sage. I'm just old. I'm neither wise nor a sage. I'm more the onion stuffing than the sage, I tell you. But
you're the glue that holds it all together, Chris.
Gorilla glue. Yeah, let's be honest. Great, thanks very much, mate. I will see you next Friday, same time, same place. And as
You're
always,
welcome.
thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the game.
Thank you. Cheers. Thanks very much there to Craig. Like I do say, he is the clever one. He is the Greavesy to my saint. If that works out well, maybe you could say he's the Piers Morgan to my Susanna. But hey, that's only at the weekends when nobody's watching me, so we won't go there either. Guys, thanks very much. We're going to be back tomorrow. It is I'm not sure what time it is now. Kickoff. What time is the kickoff tomorrow? Let us have a look, because it is a 5:30 kickoff. 5:30 kickoff tomorrow, and we're going to be here at 20 to 5 with the pre-match show with me and Josh, and we're going to be joined then by ex-Fox Richard Smith. For those of you that remember Richard, had a great couple of seasons with us. Somebody's getting very political there. That's not coming up. Night to the Facebook user there. So we're going to be back 16:40 tomorrow. The team will have just been announced. Myself, Josh, and ex-Fox Richard Smith will be assessing the team and seeing if we've got any chance of a win. And then about 45 minutes after the final whistle, me, Brad, and hopefully ex-Fox Julian Watts will be there with the post-match show. Guys, it's a big one tomorrow, but it's great to have Premier League football back. Enjoy yourselves. Have a good Saturday. Come on, the Foxes. I'll see you tomorrow night at 20 to 5. Good night. Stay safe.
Hello, Matt Elliott here. Be sure to watch Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and follow all their social media platforms for all the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Leicester Till I Die podcasts on the Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Anchor, and all podcast platforms.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye, and see you next time.